Hello and welcome back to the Battle Room. My name is, of course, the Battle Room, and today I am finally joined by my good friend Raghav. How you doing, buddy?
I'm not gonna lie, it's been pretty tough. Like in all seriousness, someone tried to break into my apartment last night, and they came in with a bat. I heard them. I went downstairs to see what was up, and they swung their bat at me right into my stomach. But luckily, I have abs of steel because I have the strongest core in the game, and I'm here to share it with you.
All right, so yeah, we got tons of cores for you today. We got 10 fun cores that you can try out. Obviously, this is just like the core like couple Pokemon, and then obviously the team building can come after that. There's a lot of ways you can go with these cores, but we think that these 10 cores are definitely going to be very prominent in this metagame, and they're going to be prominent moving forward. So let's hop into these bad boys and see what's good. Don't mind me, just working on the core. But thank you guys for watching, and I think I would consider subscribing. Helps us out a ton, and makes your core a little bit stronger. Enjoy the video. So the first core we have for you today is Grimmsnarl Swampert Rain. I feel like this is a core that everyone's trying to work. I've seen like the same 6 Pokemon like 10 different times on Twitter today. This core is absolutely strong. It's very, very good.
Yeah, I think it's very intuitive. Like Grimmsnarl is a very big boost to range just because you have Parting Shot. Before it's like, Charizard's gonna Mega, so I can't just switch in my Pelipper freely. I have to use a dog shit Pokemon like Sableye to make it work. Whereas now you have a Pokemon that's way better in Grimmsnarl. And it just enables that rain setup so well. Like even with Archaludon or Swampert just as a lead, you have so many options. Whether you want to set up a screen or Parting Shot where you still reduce their damage, but you bring in that Pelipper immediately. So I mean we could take a quick look at the other sets. Like for example, this Pelipper, I think it is very nice to have Wide Guard so you can protect Swampert from Matcha Gotcha, from Sinistcha. Other than that, it's just a bulky set. Like I think we can get away with it in this format, right? There's not that many electric types.
Yeah, there's like almost none. The main threat to Pelipper is actually enemy Archaludons, but outside of that, like it's like Rotom. So Pelipper gets to kind of cheat and run like no protect, all bulk with a citrus berry. It is so hard to take down, and I think Pelipper is probably one of the biggest winners of this format, specifically because of Grimmsnarl, like you mentioned.
Absolutely. And then you have, your mega Pokemon Swampert. He just does so much damage. And you get to run mostly like a lot of attack too, because with Swift Swim, I feel like your EV spreads are pretty much up to you. Like you just need to hit, a good amount of speed to abuse that Swift Swim, but otherwise he is dealing damage, man. Even at -1, you need to look at some of these calcs. Like Wave Crash is just so strong. I think you don't have to run EQ and high horsepower, but I think it's a very valid set. You can run Ice Punch. I'm not really sure what other moves it gets other than a high Ice Punch and like high horsepower, but Swampert's just, dude, he's that guy. He's shredded.
Yeah, he also gets Flip Turn. I think that's like another move you could
That's it.
consider running. But if you just look at his stats, like he actually is like cheating, right? His one weak point is speed, which you just have Swift Swim for. So you just don't even care that you're slow because you will outspeed everything anyways. 150 attack is absurd. And then even 100, 110, 110 is crazy. He's so hard to KO. And I think getting Wave Crash in Regulation MB, or in Pokemon Champions, is just so huge for the guy. He is swole. And he's like, I think the best part about Swampert is it finally gave Archaludon a best friend, right? Like Archaludon was just looking for some mega, like Rain with Archaludon has always been pretty solid, but the megas were like Scizor or Dragonite, which just weren't like necessarily fitting the pacing that Rain wants to go with. But now with Swampert, Archaludon is sin pretty.
Yeah, he finally has a mega. Before Archaludon was the mega, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty standard arch here. You generally want a lot of special defense with this set still, just because it is so weak. But yeah, Grimmsnarl Archaludon, match made in heaven. Like to round out this core, I definitely recommend something like a Sinistcha. Some people are running another Mega, so you have a little bit of creativity in these last 2 slots. Definitely think Sinistcha is a good add, but I think these 4 are kind of the essential aspects to the core.
The next core we gotta talk about is Mega Staraptor. Mega Staraptor made a huge splash right when the game came out. Getting Contrary was a huge deal for Staraptor, but as time has went on, Staraptor has just went further and further down. Staraptor had a pretty abysmal finish in the 800-person Smogon Tour, but I still think Staraptor has some sauce, and it's just about trying to figure out how to best utilize Staraptor, and I think one of the best ways to do that is obviously this core right here, which is Staraptor, Grimmsnarl, and Sinestro.
Yeah, Staraptor is a really cool Pokemon. Contrary just makes it so interesting to play with, like building with it, even just playing with it if the opponent has Incineroar, it becomes really, really strong, especially because it runs stab close combat and it's reducing its defenses, with which Contrary, it becomes unkillable. So I think the best thing to pair it with is another Pokemon that can reduce their damage, and Grimmsnarl. I think Grimmsnarl is really cool because not only can you like side parting shot to give yourself, attack boost, you can set up the screens, but it also gets Scary Face and Fake Tears, right? So if you want to run Fake Tears and you have like special attackers, now you can give Staraptor, a huge special defense boost. With Scary Face, you can make Staraptor the fastest thing. So I think these two are just such great partners. And since you're really able to like stack those stats, having Sinistcha just as redirection, as security, a little bit of hospitality, it just makes it so hard to break.
Yeah, I think they are just a perfect pair. What's really cool too is like having that ability to roost and get that healing back yourself can be incredibly valuable as well. I think Staraptor is just kind of a weird, tough egg to crack, like team building wise. And I think that it's just going to take some time, but I know for sure we're going to see someone pop off, whether it's in one of these online tournaments or even at Worlds with Staraptor. I'm sure it's just a matter of time, but I think this bulky setup set, like you mentioned with the Grimmsnarl, is just really solid. Grimmsnarl gets a ton of options. We didn't include Whimsicott, but I do think Whimsicott is valuable as well, kind of under the same vein as Grimmsnarl, being able to fake tears, tickle, charm, all those things. It's the same kind of idea, but I do like Grimmsnarl a lot more to just give Staraptor that durability.
Absolutely. You mentioned everything I was going to say, like with Whimsicott as well. At the end of the day, you just got to try Staraptor. This guy is insane.
So the next core we have for you is Mega Mawile. Mawile is a Pokemon that has gone through a lot in its time in VGC. It was very dominant, one of the best Megas in the entire world in 2014. But then after all the other Megas got introduced, it just started to lose more and more value. But I do think in Regulation MB, with the lack of Megas and just kind of the way the metagame is, I think Mawile has some legs to stand on once again. It does look very, very powerful. I think specifically the introduction of Farigiraf to pair with Mawile is just a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I think Fari's huge for it, and I think in general in this format, Trick Room's problem has been like, oh, I don't know if there's a good Trick Room Mega, I don't know if there's like good sweepers, but Mawile really helps with that. You can run either Hyper Cutter so you don't get intimidated, or your own Intimidate. I think both are genuinely valid. But Mawile just hits like a truck, and you don't have to run this moveset. Like, I've seen runs Rock Slide, Swords Dance, Brick Break. Regardless of what you run, Mawile is going to be shitting out damage. And I feel like there's not like too much to this core other than Trick Room is good with Mawile.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, we've seen a lot of different teams. We've seen like Whimsicott paired with Farigiraf Mawile, right? Like, you can run like an aggressive Tail Room team. You can run like hard Trick Room. We've seen it with like Mousehold, Torkoal, and even Pyroar. So I do think that Mawile has a lot of like, it's really just these two. I think this could be Torkoal, but it also could be Charizard, right? It just seems that for whatever reason, like Sun in general just seems to pair pretty well with Mawile. But yeah, I think it's just like these two alone create like a really, really respected Trick Room core. Like, you can literally lead Mawile for a graph and you can say, hey, what are you gonna do about it? I'm gonna press Trick Room and I'm gonna hit you. Like, what are you gonna do? And I think another thing that makes Mawile really good is Sucker Punch. I think having access to priority is a big deal because it kind of lets you cheat when Trick Room does end. If things are low enough, you can just pick them off with a Sucker Punch and just kind of clean up and close the game out.
It does so much damage, dude.
It really does, yeah. And the typing defensively is really, really great. I'm very curious to see how Mawile ends up because I do think Trick Room has just kind of felt like it's gotten better and better. We saw at NAIC Farigiraf plus Sylveon did really, really well. And I do think that Mawile is just like another little bit of a buff for Trick Room in this format. we got to talk about Charizard. Charizard has continued to be one of the best megas in the entire game. This team has won the Big Smogon Tour. We saw it get second place in the other one. Big Six and Charizard Whimsicott is here to stay. And part of the core that just makes it so successful are these three Pokemon. The last three do tend to shift and change, but these three are always firmly there holding it down.
Yeah, I think with the shift to regulation MB, the question was like, is Charizard still like, is anything going to be added to help against this Charizard epidemic? And the answer is, we don't really know yet. So far, it seems like Charizard is still that guy. And you can just add some of the new Pokemon. Like I've seen Golden Go added to this core. I've also seen people just run it back, right? Just put that Basculegion, Floette, King Gambit. You could throw an Instant on there. Regardless, like Whimsicott, Charizard, Garchomp is just such a potent trio. You've got the speed control, you've got the damage, and you've got like really good coverage typing wise. So I think if you're just trying to learn the format, you're just trying to get better and use the best team in the game, you should start with these three and then kind of round it out with some other intuitively good Pokemon.
I think what makes it so strong too is like just these two alone. Like Charizard, Garchomp are just two of the best Pokemon in the game. Like one of the best megas. It also matches up into Floette. And then Garchomp, of course, is just like one of the best non-megas who has amazing synergy, right? Like he did get buffed as well. Getting access to Life Orb is a huge buff for Garchomp. It just gives him another set, right? In his bag of tricks, he can run Life Orb, he can run Soft Sand, Roselli Berry, Citrus. Like anything. Scarf is probably still on the menu. Like you really can do anything with Charizard, but Life Orb is just another really, really good consistent tool that lets you kind of play into the mirror really, really well. We saw the Life Orb set do very, very well at these online tournaments so far, being able to get KOs onto enemy Charizards with Rock Slide now pretty consistently with Rock Slide, and then Dragon Claw consistently, potentially threatening KOs onto non-bulky Garchomps as well.
Yeah, there's not much more to say. This is broken. You should try it.
Yeah, and then obviously Whimsicott, it's got speed control. It has literally everything you could ask for. Mega Pyroar is one of the new megas that's actually made kind of a splash. I think Mega Pyroar is so easy to slot in teams, and he does do a ton of damage. I've used Mega Pyroar quite a bit, and I think that Mega Pyroar paired with Torkoal is a nasty, nasty core in this new regulation.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't played much with it, but even just watching you play with it, I was like a little surprised. I was like, damn, this is kind of nasty. Just being able to do so much damage with that, Sun, because its ability is already nice, right? But you get to run Torkoal with it, or even, potential Ninetales. It's just so fast, does so much damage, and it's kind of like an alternate to Charizard. Like, I feel like it doesn't play the same for some reason.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It's just like, I feel like you are just saying like, hey, I don't care about type chart. I don't care about anything. I'm just trying to hit you as hard as I can, and I hope it's enough to get through. I think Pyroar relies a little bit on having the Sun set up for him. So it's like Absolutely. Charizard split apart, but it kind of works in its own way. You would think that it seems like a worse version of Charizard, but like he does trade pretty well. He is a little bit more frail than Charizard as well, but he just kind of works. Like Heat Wave is so strong. Overheat can be a nuke. It might just be like an early meta thing, and as things start to bulk down, he might get a little bit worse. But at the same time, I don't know. I think it's a mode that you have to respect. I think what makes this core really, really strong as well is it's very splashable. I've seen it on Trick Room teams. I've seen it on just like dedicated Sun teams, right? Like you can run double Mega with Pyroar, feels very, very good because Pyroar is so potent into Floette that you're able to run something a little bit weaker into those fairies, specifically that Mega. So it is just such a splashable core because it is just Pyroar and Torkoal. You can run Trick Room with it. You don't have to run Trick Room. They're just so flexible. And you mentioned Ninetales a little bit. We saw this Ninetales Pyroar team do really, really well in these last couple tournaments, so I wanted to include it as well, just to talk about like the Scarf Ninetales paired with Pyroar. It does a ton of damage. You can threaten insane KOs with Fake Tears plus Pyroar. And then just in general, just double Heat Wave spamming with two fast Pokemon instead of relying on something like Helping Hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think Helping Hand is crucial to the core, to be honest. Like, either having Fake Tears or Helping Hand. But yeah, like, if you just need a 2-Pokemon core, you're having trouble with Floette, it fits on your Trick Room team, I think you should try Pyroar Torkoal out.
So this next core we got to talk about is the Protect the Queen core. This core was an absolute menace in Regulation MA, and I don't think it's going anywhere. It won the most recent Victory Road, so we got to talk about it. We got to put you on to the balance of balance in this format.
Yeah, I honestly think it's funny that like we didn't get to it faster. Like it was around at the beginning of the format, but I think it took a while for people to be like, wait, no, it actually can just beat everything if you play correctly. And I'm not gonna lie, I played like 4 of these at NAIC. There were so many. It feels like everyone understands the strength of this core, and the idea really is you have a Mega Pokemon, Floette, Delphox, and you click Calm Mind or Nasty Plot, and you're supported by Incin and Sinistra, and often another fake out user like Sneasler, and you're just able to set up and heal back with Sinistra, right? And both Floette and Delphox are super, super potent. Delphox usually just needs one Nasty Plot, Floette a little bit, more Calm Minds, but that's why you run things like Draining Kiss too. So really everything is dependent on your Mega. Like if it goes down, your strategy is probably crumbled, and that's why we call it the Protect the Queen.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's very, very simple in what it's trying to do. We also have seen other variants where they actually do put King Gambit on there, and he becomes a Protect the King version, where like it's literally like the same team, like the same core, but they literally don't bring a Mega. They rely on Incineroar, Sneasler, King Gambit, and Sinistra to try and make their way through a team as well. And it's the same kind of vibe. It's just so disgustingly hard to deal with. If they get like you said though, if the Mega goes down, they do lose, but obviously they have all the tools in the world to keep their Mega safe. We've seen even ridiculous versions, like from the world champion Sajin Park. He was using Vivillon and Mousehold as well. Yeah, so he had like double redirection to try and keep these Pokemon alive. Triple.
Oh no, the Vivian was sleep powder. Sorry.
No, but it did have rage powder still. It's
Did
still
it? Okay, even a Scarf. Yeah, that makes sense.
it was still triple redirection. So it is really just about protecting your Mega. And Floette's one of the best Mega Pokemon in the game. It can carry really, really hard. We've seen solo Floettes as well, but also, like you mentioned, like pairing it with the Delphox makes a lot of sense because they do the same thing, and you do just kind of say, hey, which Mega's better, right? Like, which one should I bring? Oh, they're kind of more weak to fire types? Sure, I'll slam the Delphox, right? And it just gives you so much flexibility that it's just gross. It's just a gross combo.
Yeah, and I think sometimes to remedy this issue of like, oh, it's all so reliant on my Mega, they do put like not just Sneasler but Basculegion too, or that King Gambit, right? So having ways to do damage without having to set up can really help some of the issues of this team. But yeah, like if you need to get your reps on becoming a balanced bro, you got to try this one.
Following the Protect the Queen core, we do have the Metagross core. Metagross is a very, very interesting Pokemon because when we first saw that we were getting him, he is very polarizing. He's very, very strong, and he's been very traditionally strong in the past. But I feel like, you know, he's taken a little bit of a slow start in terms of like establishing himself as a top tier Mega. He's yet to win. Obviously, there hasn't been too many tournaments, but I'm very curious to see how he all pans out. But I do think if you're trying to use Metagross, this is probably the way. I think Metagross's natural synergy with dragons is probably one of his most valuable assets.
Yeah, I love him with dragons, and I think part of the issue with Metagross is usually your Mega is a special attacker, and this one's physical. Like, what special attackers are you trying to pair Metagross with? And I think one of the most slept on combinations is Hydreigon. Together, their type coverage defensively is just amazing, but having a fast special attacker to deal with Garchomp, to help with Charizard, I think it's really nice. And obviously, like you said, with dragons, Metagross is beating down those fairy type Pokemon. So I think there's a lot of potential with just these two, but I think even just the last two just rounded out so well.
Yeah, I think Hydreigon, like you said, just matches up so well into it. And then having that consistent, strong steel option for Floette or Sylveon is just perfect. A match made in heaven. Garchomp is another dragon you can totally run with Metagross. We kind of put him on the list. It's like, it's not necessarily either or. You can definitely run both. But I think just having a dragon in general, like you could even run Como as well. He's another option. Just having that consistent steel type means a lot.
Yeah, and then lastly, we added Grimmsnarl, not because it has like a crazy, combo that you can do with it, but just it's kind of a glue piece, right? Like it allows you to pivot. It makes already bulky Pokemon like Metagross even harder to kill. And I think something that's really cool about Metagross now is that, you run the body press set. You don't have to be reliant on your attack stat in case you get intimidated after you Mega. You're able to threaten a lot of damage into Pokemon like King Gambit, Incineroar, and you just stay on the field because you have those screens up too.
Yeah, and obviously body press is boosted by Tough Claws, so it does go incredibly hard. You can actually one-shot some King Gambits as well if they're not running Chople Berry. But yeah, I think this core is pretty like it's just
It's
solid,
raw.
right? Yeah, it's just got some good defensive typing, and it's just more of like there's a lot of different ways you could round it out. You could run Toxapex Charizard, for example. There's a lot of options to make these guys shine. Froslass has been just such a solid and consistent Mega all throughout Regulation MA, and I don't see that stopping here in Regulation MB. Now, there are some more threats to it, such as Metagross, right? Like, Froslass doesn't like to see Metagross, but at the same time, Froslass has just been so solid that we gotta talk about it. I don't think Froslass is anywhere near dead, and I think Froslass has a lot of loyal fans that will build new and interesting Froslass teams, but this core is at the center of all of those teams.
Yeah, like let's just talk about the intuitive synergy here, right? Froslass is a ghost type, ice type, and it is scared of opposing King Gambits. So we add Sneasler. Amazing coverage together. Froslass, Sneasler alone, just phenomenal. But when you add King Gambit into the mix, they just become so fucking annoying. You have Swords Dance potential, you get to have Aurora Veil, and just offensively, you have all the options you want in the world. But the real reason we have to talk about Froslass is I just think it's one of the coolest stories in VGC. Like, a bunch of Italian dudes pull up to a regional, like, 5 billion of them, and they all make day two, and like 90% of them top cut, right? Then they make a team report of that team, and a bunch of people like buy it and read it and do amazing at NAIC with the same team. So I think like this is just one of the coolest cores in the game, one of the coolest stories, and it has a stupid Pokemon like Lycanroc in it, and it's actually good. I feel like that team still works in this regulation, and so does this core.
Yeah, we've seen that team do really, really well. It recently just got third in an 800-person Regulation MB tournament, so clearly that team is not dead. They didn't change anything. It's just Scovillain, Lycanroc, and Basculegion. Yeah, and Basculegion is something that I would say is traditionally part of the core as well. It's very, very important, but I think for the most part, these three are just so self-sustaining. It also gives you this really fun setup mode with Swords Dance. You don't have to run Swords Dance by any means, but Swords Dance is really, really strong because you have Aurora Veil, you have Fake Out. They just provide so much, like all three of them together provide so much that it is really just like, how do we beat Charizard? And then the team is just done. Now, Mega Aerodactyl has seen better days. It's been kind of rough for our boy in the most recent regulation, but I don't think you can count him out whatsoever. And I think part of that is his synergy with his boys Sylveon and King Gambit.
Yeah, I think the same thing is happening as last regulation though, okay?
Mhm.
Obviously, we've skipped a little bit of the development phase where we were all like, oh my god, Aerodactyl's amazing. Like, when has Aerodactyl ever been good? But I think right now, people are just playing with the new toys, and they're going to come back to our boy Aerodactyl. They did that last format too, when Glamora, hit the scene. They're like, oh my god, it's a poison type too. That's crazy. But no, Aerodactyl, who won NAIC? Who was the second at NAIC? What did Battle Room run at NAIC? And the answer to all those questions is Mega, Aerodactyl, Sylveon, King Gambit. These three alone can just be half a team, right? We've seen Scovillain versions, but I think the Charizard version's a little bit more potent. You get to run a double Mega, but just being able to set up Tailwind for these traditionally slow Pokemon to just sweep the game is so, so good.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool too, as you mentioned, like there are multiple versions. Like in the finals of NAIC, we saw two different versions, completely different, and we're seeing that Furrygraph version specifically continue to do well. In that giant tournament that I keep mentioning, it did get top cut. Also, the team that won NAIC also got top cut. So I think this core is definitely not one to write off just yet. I do think it's got some potential. I think the real part that makes it shine so much is like just having a secondary mega option is so easy to slot in here, because Aerodactyl is one of the best like megas that doesn't need an item, right? He still provides that Tailwind, he still provides that rock coverage to help deal with Charizard, and he just gets to go nuts. And then obviously Sylveon is giving you non-mega fairy typing, which is extraordinarily rare outside of like Primarina or like Gardevoir. So like,
Nah, it's just Sylveon.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Sylveon or Floette, and being able to run a non-mega feels great. I think Sylveon's still going to be incredible. And then, of course, King Gambit. He's fallen a little bit in terms of his strength. Well, not in terms of his strength, in terms of his popularity, but his strength has not faltered. He is still one of the best Pokemon in the game, one of the most consistent Pokemon to help deal with Basculegion, and I don't think any of that is changing.
Yeah, and you can run little tweaks on the team, like you can run Tropical King Gambit. Aerodactyl sets really up in the air. Like you can run Wide Guard, Ice Fang, Protect.
Mhm.
So you have a lot of options. I just think this is a phenomenal like core to a team that you can add to another Mega.
And the last core we have for you today is Mega Raichu Y. So personally, I am a huge fan of Mega Raichu Y. He's been nothing but good to me. I think he can be a little bit he's frail, so like sometimes he can be very punishing if you get the turns wrong, but at the same time I do think like the bulky Raichu set that is able to live Wave Crash is very, very potent. I think it's something like this. I think this is how he does it, or it's like, I think it might be the other way around, but this has just been
I'm not
really,
sure.
it's been really, really great for me. And I think bulky Raichu, specifically with setup Pokemon, is very strong. You're able to press Fake Out, you're able to threaten Zap Cannons to slow them down, because again, you have no guard, you have guaranteed Zap Cannons, and I think one of the perfect partners for this is Golden Go.
Yeah, Golden Go is still nasty. Just like I'm shutting the haters out. I don't care that it can miss. I don't care that it's -2. Goldie is still nasty. That typing, that ability, that move is still way too good, right? And it gives you that setup option that you're asking for. I really think that like these two plus Tailwind is already so scary into a lot of teams. It's just a phenomenal hyper offense core. Like other than Garchomp, nothing wants to take a hit from Raichu. Like you have more experience using it, but I've played it so many times, and every time I'm like, damn, I'm really scared of this guy. Like he's the paper thin. Like he's so weak, but it is so hard to dance around, and just getting paralyzed feels like shit.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, like, I think it's kind of crazy that you need to run Tailwind and the Zap Cannon speed control, but I think it makes a lot of sense, especially in Tailwind mirrors, having that little edge to basically nuke something and paralyze it feels very strong. I do think like just pairing it with Goldie. I also played one with King Gambit as well, and King Gambit went crazy and just started like just fake out Swords Dance. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, how do you stop that,
Yeah.
right? And then you also still have another fake out user or follow me user in the back. So I just think Raichu's potential is mostly just that enabling setup, and I think that's where we're gonna see him shine. I don't think like he's not really a solo mega type of Pokemon, but I do think he does have a lot of utility and good utility.
Absolutely. I think the way to round this out is definitely add a little bit more help for Garchomp. I think there's just not one Pokemon in particular that has to do it. Like I've tried Ninetales, I thought it was pretty cool. You can try Mamoswine. I think he's low-key kind of sauce. And shout out our thumbnail artist Caleb. He loves Raichu Mamoswine. But yeah, like if you want to give Raichu Y a try, I think you should use these partners.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully these cores can help you in your own team building endeavors, or just, about stuff that you're thinking about now, trying to counter or trying to beat. You have a little more knowledge on the cores in the current Regulation MB metagame.
We appreciate you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Peace.